Hey guys, this is Bill with Career RevGen. I'm about to put out two videos, one being this one, about what you should be covering in a typical weekly RevMAX call. So the call should be about 30 minutes to an hour. It should include most likely your property general manager, your assistant general manager, maybe your director of sales, and then maybe ownership, depending on how involved they are. And essentially what you're going to do is present the property's performance and then also look forward into creating the future revenue strategy to optimize your top line. So there's a lot to cover. So essentially I've broken it down into two videos, and in this first video I'm basically going to cover kind of the first four elements that my team and I discussed during our RevMAX calls. So the first is going to be the weekly star report, where basically we're just kind of analyzing each day a week, identifying trends, seeing what strategies worked well in the past, so what can we continue doing and what can be improved upon. And then typically with a RevMAX call, I like to start with a top line or bird's eye view and then drill down later. So we're basically just looking at kind of last year pace, how we're doing compared to last year. Do we think we'll hit budget? Are there any concerns coming up in future months, or do we look pretty good? Then I'll typically look at how we picked up in the last week, just looking at our pace. And then from this chart, I usually identify, which months I really want to highlight once I dive into the daily strategy review at the end of the call. And the fourth element I'm going to go through on this call we call them stats or statistics. And sometimes we'll bring in different ones to kind of keep the call fresh, but anything from looking at our seasonality to kind of prep for what's coming up over the year. Or sometimes we'll look at our pace for the current month or future months. And then one that I really like to get operations involved with is sellout efficiency. That could be a really fun one to get your whole property excited. So I like to bring that one in a lot. And then on the second call, I'll go through rate plans, daily strategy review, and then bonus items. So let's get started with a typical star analysis. So basically I'll pull up this latest star report from the previous week. And obviously in your prep, you're really just looking for trends and kind of bringing kind of interesting value. I know with the star report, a lot of times on RevMAX calls, they kind of get monotonous and you tend to kind of talk about the same thing every week. So it's really hard to keep fresh. And one of the ways we are able to keep it fresh is we bring in rate plan production for each day a week. So I'll show you that in a little bit, but kind of adds a little bit more flair for what's really sometimes kind of monotonous week after week. So a couple things for this particular property that I noticed looking at the star that kind of jumped out to me was, first I saw that the ADR was way down on Sunday and Monday. So I went back in my notes and again, I went through the rate plans, and basically I kind of knew that last year we had a big football championship event. So obviously we're driving rate pretty hard. And that kind of explains our declines as well as the comp set. But still Sunday was very soft relative to the comp set. So I definitely want to dive in and see, kind of identify maybe I was priced too high, or take a closer look that day, because that index is kind of jumping out on me as pretty low. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're in pretty good shape. Almost got my fair share. I noticed Tuesday, Wednesday, we came pretty close to selling out, but we didn't quite get there. So I was just curious about our rank. So sometimes I'll dive down into the actual rank in the star report, and this kind of jumped out at me as interesting. On the 12th, which is Tuesday, for occupancy, my property was ranked 7 out of 7. So that means we were dead last, even though we had, what appears to be a good occupancy. And then Wednesday, we were 6 out of 7. So same thing there. So essentially, what I'm going to bring up with the property again is that sellout efficiency and making sure, we're able to sell out, because the whole market was sold out. Why did we miss it? Maybe it was some out of order rooms, or maybe the overbooking wasn't good enough, or maybe the front desk, um, just wasn't incentivized enough to get the sellout. So I'm going to look at those dates. The ADR was pretty much in line with the comp set for the peak nights. I would like to see this property beat the comp set though. So again, I'm gonna see what kind of rate plans came in here that didn't surpass the comp set. Thursdays are always kind of tough at this property, so overall it's not too bad. We beat on ADR. The occupancy was close, and then it was a fairly solid weekend. Beat the comp set on ADR, pretty close in terms of occupancy. So kind of from this point, I've kind of identified really what I want to look at, particularly the Sunday. Definitely want to look at the Tuesday, Wednesday ADR, as well as the sellout efficiency later. And then really everything else looked pretty typical, but I kind of want to dive into the weekends to see if there's any opportunity there, as the whole market kind of struggles there. So after I talk about the STAR report, I usually dive into the rate plan production. So again, what this is showing is rate plans produced by day for each day in the STAR report, and then the year-over-year variance. So the first thing that pops out to me is our bar was our top producer. That's usually a good sign. I have some properties where really low rated negotiated rate plans are top producer, which could be good if it's providing good base, but oftentimes it's a little bit of a concern. And then with a couple of my properties that struggle with corporate, I'll see really high production either through OTAs and opaques. That's usually a big red flag. It's great to drive tons of traffic through those channels, but ideally you want your bar to be on top. That's where you're going to get your highest ADR. That's going to be your lowest cost channel, and it's the one you have the most control over. So I was happy to see we had 62 of those. Some nice growth year over year. We booked 7 more than last year. I would like to see closer to 20 or so on Tuesday and Wednesday. I've got 10 and 12. So that might be something that I'm going to flag for later in my daily strategy and see, did we outprice ourselves, or did we fill up with something lower rated that maybe wasn't ideal. And then you could see from the event, super low ADR relative to last year, again just because there was a big event. So isolating Sunday, I've noticed that we only had 3 bar, so that's pretty minimal. So once I dive into my daily strategy, maybe this is a one-time event. I'll kind of look at it at a more macro level, but that kind of tells me maybe we should try running a Sunday night promotion or something to get this going a little bit. I've renamed all my corporate or negotiated rates as cores just to kind of hide them, since I'm sending this video out publicly. But these are other good things to look at. So like on the STAR report, when I said that I think we can beat the comp set on ADR, one of the reasons why we didn't is because we had such high production from this core 160 across our peak nights, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the ADR was $84. So again, I'm going to flag this in my notes and say, once I get to the rate plan analysis, I want to dive into that core 160, take a look at their stay pattern, take a look at their displacement, and then talk about sales and the GM and identify if we want to keep these guys, if we want to get rid of them, or if we have any opportunity to take their rate up. So that's another thing I'm flagging here. See, vice versa, there's core 173 has a really good stay pattern. It gives us a Wednesday, Thursday, and then even a Friday, and the rate was 99. So that compared to this 84 staying through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, much rather have these guys, the core 183s. this kind of jumped out to me. We're running a 2,000 point loyalty point promotion on our website. So we had a few bookings there. We grew by 10 over last year and really strong ADR. So that's where we're getting the highest ADR. So I always like to load point promos because, I'm willing to give the guest some points that cost us, $5, maybe $10. And it's at the end of the day, it's driving our highest rated segment. So I'll do that all day. OTA production, even that came in at a pretty high rate, so I'm okay with it. There's Expedia, some decent growth there, down on the ADR from the event last year. And then this I noticed too was kind of interesting. So we took a decent amount of opaque. Maybe I could have yielded these out Tuesday, Wednesday, as those were in the 80s. But we did pick up 8 on Saturday, which I thought was interesting, and the ADR was 73. So if I go back to the star report, you can see that our ADR for the entire day was 72.57. So if I'm taking opaques at 73, I'm going to keep on going with that strategy. That's a really good opaque rate for this market on the weekend. So if I'm getting the lion's share there, I'm gonna keep up with it. I also ran some stay promo, so stay 2 nights and stay 15% through the weekend. So I'm good with that. I'm glad I didn't book any Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Shows I did my job. For the most part, that was kind of what jumped out to me for rate plans. So when I went through this, I honestly probably spent more time now than I would on a call. I like to keep the call moving, kind of fresh. So, just kind of hit the high level points, make sure everyone's good on the same page, and then, keep the call moving. And now I'm going to jump to kind of the second part of the call. So the annual summary here. Okay, so basically for the annual summary, I'm trying to pull up, trying to get a view of how we finished last year, but then also how we compare versus the same time. So we're still in January. We're kind of at the end of the month. So I'll kind of look out and I'll say, okay, February, we've got 100. We finished last year with 158. Okay, we need 86K more to go. This sea of red's not all that helpful looking at year-over-year totals. So that's why I like to pull in last year pace or same time last year. And then this gives me a much better picture. So you could see, let's look out into February, and typically I'll look at like the next few months and just kind of mentally prepare, but also make some notes for once we get to the daily strategy. Should I be driving rate? Should I be trying to get occupancy from a high level? So February, we've got about 72,000 on the books, $90 ADR. Same time last year, we had 43,000 on the books, only a $79 ADR. So that puts us up about 28,000 versus same time last year, up $11 in rate. So that looks really good to me. I'll have to go into the daily strategy, but overall, that's kind of jumping out to me as I'm going to continue to drive rate. I don't really need to push too hard on promotions or trying to get occupancy. And really the whole year is looking really good. So I don't see really any red flags here. We have a lot going on in April, already 217 rooms sold. So that's a month I'll probably want to take a look at. And then sometimes I'll pull in the budget, but that's kind of self-explanatory, just looking at, do you think you'll hit it? And then I'll also kind of talk about our forecast here, which is a tab we're actually adding. But I'll say, okay, we got 72,000 on the books for February. We're forecasting 222. Well ahead of last year, well ahead of budget, etc. So really, that's it. That's the annual summary. You're just kind of getting the properties, kind of really just identifying any red flags throughout the year, and just kind of setting up your call to kind of continue to drill down. So from here, I typically like to look at what I've picked up since last week. On this report, I'm really just trying to look at how I'm picking up Am I falling off or am I accelerating? And being kind of the end of January, we're kind of out of that slow holiday season. We're starting to get some really good corporate drive. So, we should be accelerating, and that's what I'm seeing. So, what this report tells me is from the 18th to the 25th, I picked up a total of 524 room nights. I've been averaging about 325. So you can see that's well above our average. And again, that's just because corporate's heating up, and these last few weeks were the slow holidays here. So I picked up 281 rooms in January, picked up a decent amount in February. And I'm also looking at essentially just trying to flag which months we really want to take a close look at. So generally, once you get to the daily, you want to at least look 90 days out. So kind of be looking into April. But we picked up 22 in June. So I definitely want to check that out. And really, for the most part, I like to look at any month quickly that I've had any pickup, just to make sure it's not coming over a high demand date. Then I'll look at our ADR pickup. Same thing, just kind of looking at trends. Picked up $94. We've been averaging a pickup of 84, so that looks really good to me. January ADR was over $100, so very happy with that. No huge red flags. ADR in July, a little low. Same with September. So maybe these are some opaques that I might want to check out and see if I really do want them, or if I want to close them out. And then a couple other cool charts in here that I like to look at. One is the monthly starting revenue. So we're getting really close to February 1st. So I kind of want to see, kind of mentally prepare again, are we going to be in good shape? So as of February 1st last year, we had 66,000 on the books. Right now, we already have 72,000, and we've got about a week left to go in January. So I can see I'm already well ahead of February pace. I'll probably pick up another, 10,000 or so. So I should be in good shape there. This revenue picked up. This is just telling me, kind of what I could expect looking at last year. So we picked up just under 92,000 in February. So, if we were to, I expect that we'll do much better since we're well ahead of pace. But even if I were to just pick up 90,000, that puts me at about 160 at an absolute minimum for February this year. So then like I said, back to the agenda, bonus items. So this is what I mean. Got various reports that we'd like to pull in. One is seasonality. So this is kind of like a nice heat map. Okay, so this is seasonality, and this is just a nice heat map to kind of show kind of what we could expect for the year. So green basically means busy, yellow's kind of in the middle, and red is slow. So this seasonality is a little odd just because we were coming out of renovation this time last year. But you could see all that green in October, definitely a hot month. And then you could kind of identify things like slow holiday periods, for Labor Day, Memorial Day. Those obviously look kind of soft. And this kind of just helps, set up, basically says, fall busy, kind of set like a baseline strategy to keep rates high until you hit Thanksgiving here. December is always really soft. So, when you're setting your blanket strategy, make sure December is lower, keep the summers higher, etc. So that's kind of a nice heat map to look at. Okay, and last report I'm going to show you for bonus item is sellout efficiency. So this is a fun one, like I was saying, that you really get ops involved here. Basically what you're going to want to measure is how many rooms you've left unsold if you've hit at least 95% occupancy or above. And the reason why you're going to want to track this is because if you're hitting 95% occupancy, there's probably enough demand that you should have got a sellout. And then even though it might not seem like a lot, that extra 5%, that's where you should be getting your absolute highest rates. So sellout efficiency definitely adds up over time. And it's something that you could get your whole front desk involved in. I know at some of our properties, we'll incentivize the front desk agents if they're getting perfect sellouts, whether it's like a gift card or just extra bonus money, or maybe even just a pizza party for perfect sellout efficiency. So there are a lot of ways to get creative and kind of push those to sell those last few rooms. But what this report is showing is in January, if it says perfect, we got a perfect sellout, and it means we left $0 or $0 on the books. We didn't have any more rooms to sell, so that's showing 0. On the 12th, for example, we had 1 room left, and we finished on the 12th with an ADR of 110. So that's just where that number is coming from. So you can see 19th and 20th, we left some rooms there. And then we're currently in this week. We've got about 4 rooms left to sell Tuesday, Wednesday. So hopefully we get some perfect sellouts there. But overall, let's say that we don't get these last 4. We're looking at leaving 12 rooms on the table for about at least $1,300. And so far we've only had 1 perfect sale, and we've had about 6 opportunities. So that puts us at about 16%. So again, fun one for operations. Also helps me determine how I should be setting my overbooking. Essentially when I'm looking at this, looks like Tuesday, Wednesday, I could probably bump it up by 1 or 2 rooms pretty safely, as that's kind of where the trend is. But that kind of concludes this first video. Again, stay tuned for the second video where I'll be covering rate plan analysis, daily strategy review, and some more fun bonus items. But that's kind of the first start to the RevMAX call. So thanks, everybody. Please leave comments and suggestions for future videos. Look forward to talking to you soon.